Support. That's AFA.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump pledging to set up new food centers in Gaza, saying he sees real signs of starvation.
We want to get the children fed. We made a contribution a week ago of $60 million, all going into food. We only hope the food goes to the people that need it, because so much, as you know, when you do something there, it gets taken by Hamas or somebody, but it gets taken. But and we're prepared to help. We want to help. It's a terrible situation.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee says the U.S. has tried to get food into the people of Gaza, but Hamas steals it.
It's not a pleasant situation, but it's unbelievable to me that you see worldwide all the pressure is being put on the Israelis. The pressure should be put on Hamas. They're the ones who keep changing every opportunity to end this. The disconnect is with the media, who wants there to be an anti-Israel message that they keep getting across. But it's a false message. They've showed pictures of children who supposedly were starving. Turns out one of the pictures was from 2017, and it was about a child with cerebral palsy. Another one showed a very emaciated child, but it was because he had a disease. He was standing next to a mother who, let's just say, she was very well fed. So somebody was eating. It may not have been the child.
The Fox News poll shows a majority of Americans support deporting illegal aliens who have committed crimes. Border Czar Tom Homan says the media is putting out a false narrative about the raids conducted by ICE.
70% of the people we're arresting are criminals. Hard stop, 70%. Who are the other 30%? The other 30% are national security threats. Like we've arrested over 300 Iranian nationals. These are people who are national security threats based on intelligence, based on other information. These are people we have to take off the street, that we have to deport. Who's the rest of that 30%? These are people who had due process at great taxpayer expense, and a judge ordered them removed. A federal judge said they must be deported. So our job is to deport those people.
The education chief for the state of Maine told the state's schools to ignore President Trump's executive orders preventing men from competing in girls' sports. Maine Department of Education Commissioner Pinder Macon wrote memos for all the state school districts after President Trump began to make executive orders addressing public education. Maine Congresswoman Laurel Libby says Macon has stated that education takes a back seat to social issues.
I'm not surprised at all. This is the same Commissioner Macon, who said back in 2023 in response to students' falling test scores in Maine, look, we're not going to prioritize academic learning. We're going to emphasize social emotional learning and DEI. So this shocks me not at all. Well, her policies are the same as the Mills administration. It's a woke agenda with which most Mainers don't agree. They don't agree that biological males should be participating in girls' sports. They don't agree that the focus should be on DEI and social emotional learning. Folks want their kids to be learning the basics, and anything less is a disservice to Maine students, as we see in their falling test scores.
2 more children will be able to find a home while a lawsuit proceeds. Chris Woodward explains.
Jessica Bates lives in Oregon and wants to adopt 2 children from foster care. The Oregon Department of Human Services has a rule that excludes Bates because she does not wish to follow state policy that parents be affirming of a child's gender identity. Bates tried taking Oregon to court, but a legal challenge failed at the federal district level. Last week, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Oregon's policy appears to have violated Bates's free speech and free exercise rights. The appeals court also stated that the case should continue. Attorney Johannes Vidmalm Delfons of Alliance Defending Freedom, the law firm representing Bates.
This was a Clinton appointee as well as a Trump appointee who agreed that Oregon's policy was likely unconstitutional and that it likely violated Jessica Bates' free speech and her free exercise rights.
Delfons says Bates will now begin the application process again.
She's hoping to adopt 2 children from foster care. We hope that Oregon will allow that to happen.
I'm Chris Woodward.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
The American Family Association's mission is to inform, equip, and activate individuals to strengthen the moral foundations of our culture. We also support the church. Our goal is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. We believe true morality flows from biblical principles and directs people to the manner in which God intends them to live.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association as we seek to stop the erosion of godly values.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Tuesday, July the 29th, 2025. And as always, we thank you for joining us here on AFR. And we wish we had good news to lead with today, but we don't. Fred Jackson with me. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
Chris Woodward.
Good morning.
And Ray Pritchard from Kansas City, Kansas. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Tim. How you doing today?
Doing well. We're all saddened by what happened in New York City yesterday. Of course, in the country of 330 million people, it's probably going to be some bad news to report every day. But this got national and even international attention. What happened, Chris?
A man stalked through a Manhattan office tower yesterday afternoon during New York rush hour time, and he fired a rifle, killing at least 4 people, including a New York City police officer, and wounding a 5th before taking his own life, officials said. The shooting took place at a skyscraper that is home to the headquarters of both the NFL and Blackstone, one of the world's largest investment firms.
Blackstone?
Blackstone, yes, sir. The gunman has been identified
by BlackRock. Anyway.
The gunman has been identified by authorities as Shane Tamura of Las Vegas. He had what authorities are calling a documented mental health history. He also had a background as a football player in high school and may have done a cross-country trip leading up to this attack.
Okay. Well, this guy, Fred, tell us more.
Yeah, he drove. Police say he drove all the way from his home there in Las Vegas. And
excuse me for interrupting, and I don't mean to. It was BlackRock.
We've got Blackstone in news reports.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we're talking about who was in the building. That's the reason I'm bringing this up. Who, right, by meaning what major corporations? Is it BlackRock Investments or Blackstone Investments?
I'm seeing Blackstone.
Okay. Well, I've got BlackRock official website, leading providers of investment. Anyway, all right. That is important what the name of the company is because it's a major corporation. Whether it's Blackstone or BlackRock. But the most important thing is here, the NFL offices were inside this skyscraper. Fred, go ahead.
And police are connecting that fact that the NFL head office is based in that building. Apparently, this young man, 27 years old, Shane Tamura of Las Vegas, perhaps played football, high school, whatever the case was. He had some problems, some mental problems that he blamed on football in general, football injuries, et cetera, et cetera. That is the reason police believe he went to that particular building to do exactly what he did yesterday. There are pictures of this young man heading into the office. It's late afternoon, as Chris was saying. He's carrying a high-powered weapon. He apparently opened fire in the foyer area, in the first level area, and then he was able to get on an elevator and go up to, I think it was the 30th floor, I'm not sure what it was, and he opened fire there. That is what we know at this point. But very tragic, as Chris was reporting. Among those who were killed was a very young police officer, New York City police officer. Some of the foyer personnel at the welcome desk in that building. But very tragic. He then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. So a very tragic story all the way around.
Okay, so the answer to my question here, sorry to get stuck on this, but there is evidently both a Blackstone and a BlackRock major investment companies, and so that's based out of New York City. Ray, when did you hear about this?
Well, last evening when the news broke, I think I saw something that Todd Starnes put up, and then suddenly it exploded on Twitter and then across all the news feeds. And you know, Fred, I saw one of the pictures of this young man or this fella coming across a plaza on his way to the building holding the rifle in his right hand.
Yep.
How is it that he's able to do that so openly, get into the building, and then I don't understand. There seems like a huge security breakdown somewhere.
Yeah, that's and this will come out as time goes on. But as you say, Ray, the picture shows him walking across this plaza with this huge weapon in his hand. How somebody somewhere didn't call 911 saying there's a guy walking in that building.
And is there not security inside the building?
There was, I believe, some security there, but obviously not enough to deal with this guy, because he walked in the building and opened fire right away.
Was the officer shot a New York police officer? He was an NYPD, right?
That is correct.
Not a private security officer.
No.
Yeah, the mayor confirmed that he was a young New York City Police Department officer.
Do you know anything about where he was when he was shot?
No, sir.
Okay. Because a lot of buildings you go to, especially in big cities, all right, by big buildings, I'm talking skyscrapers, especially in New York, but they have security on ground level, right? They'll have a couple security guards on ground level, and a lot of them will say, "What is your business here? Why?" You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because you have to have an appointment. Or I'm going to see so and so company. Are they expecting you? And then they look and see if you're on the, on the list for the day to be going to the building. I've experienced that many times. You probably have too, haven't you, Ray? When they check you out.
Oh, absolutely. And they'll stop you right there. And, sir, where are you going?
Right.
Do you have an appointment?
Right. So the other thing here is. I know the mayor of New York City last night. I watched his Adams.
Mm-hmm.
I watched his press conference along with the police chief. Okay, there. How many people died?
4.
Okay,
as of right now.
That's the most important thing, and we're certainly all saddened by this tragedy that took place. But these quote gun control people, they just can't help themselves. Even Mayor Adams, who is probably is a moderate on a lot of issues, even though that by New York City standards, he's a moderate. But even he's saying gun violence.
Yeah,
this is gun violence, as if the gun traveled from Las Vegas to New York by itself, an inanimate object just started killing people. The day before we had the stabbings at the Walmart in Michigan, right?
Yes.
I didn't hear knife violence.
No.
Yeah.
There was no mention. We must do something about knife violence. And also related to this is that fact that you have this guy using the gun, right?
Uh-huh.
He's responsible for his own actions.
That's right. There was a shooting at a casino in Reno where I think one person died there. Mm-hmm. This is, can we not just get back to basics here? And the basic is there are evil people in this world.
Right.
They choose to use a knife in Michigan.
Right.
They use a gun in New York, in Reno. It is not about the weapons. It's about the hearts of the individuals.
Plus, we have gun laws.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
New York City has some of the strictest gun control laws in America. So you're going, well, this guy evidently didn't pay attention to the laws, didn't respect the laws. And meanwhile, innocent people or good people are left defenseless oftentimes because of the strict gun laws.
It's interesting. You mentioned the Michigan case where the perpetrator there used a knife to injure 11 people. How was he stopped? By a Marine.
With a gun.
Retired Marine with a gun.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Ray, this fella, how old was he? 29?
27.
27. He evidently left a suicide note, or a note telling people why he was doing what he was doing. Chris, do you have that? And Ray can comment.
Yes,
then.
I'm pulling it up here. Fox was running hard and heavy with this earlier today. Basically, the note that was left at the same building where the NFL headquarters are speaks of health issues as a result of playing football. I paraphrased a lot there.
Did you see this, Ray?
Yeah, I sure did. And look, the NFL has spent millions, multiple millions of dollars in the last, 20 years, 25 years, because in the old days, guys would play professional football and then brain injuries would develop and nobody knew much about it. But now this CTE, this trauma to the brain because of football, that's a real thing, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. So he suffered from this from high school football maybe, something like that, or thought he did and thought he needed to be tested. But it's hard to understand, get down to the real motive, because he drives across the country, right? Yeah. He walks across the plaza with the gun. So he's not going to get help. He's coming to kill somebody and then to be killed, or in this case, to kill himself. So hard to understand what the point of this was, except to say, I'm in trouble, I need help, and I'm going to die.
Yeah, as you say, CTE is a real thing that a lot of people who play football in particular having to, come to grips with. But let me ask you this, Fred. Did you want to say something else?
Well, I'm just saying, a young man blaming a sport for his injury.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. Sports, whether it's football, whether it's hockey, whether it's boxing, these are dangerous, and you're going to get bodily injured in these sports. And there's no way to you do your best. You wear helmets and all, padding and all that sort of thing. But it's going to happen. Those are tough sports.
The mayor said the killer, seemed to blame the NFL. The NFL headquarters was located in the building, and he mistakenly went up to the wrong elevator bank. Okay, so it appears that he was trying to go kill people working at the NFL.
Yeah.
And because he blamed football, this was, I guess, in his mind, symbolic of football was the NFL offices. Now, as you guys said, here's where I have a problem with a little bit of a problem with people blaming mental illness. Okay, for this. Now, on one level, generically, you would say somebody who does what he did is crazy. Okay, but that's a sort of a layman slang we use for somebody doing something that's nutty. That really doesn't make any sense. However, when you say he's mentally ill, does a mentally ill person plot and plan this to drive across the country with a gun, knowing he's going to drive all the way to New York? He knows how to get there. He knows what weapon to use. He knows to go to the NFL offices and try to kill people to make his point that that football harmed his life. Is that a crazy person?
No.
Or is it?
He has the.
He knew what he was doing. Is what I'm saying.
He has the mental faculty.
To your point about being evil.
Yes, to plan the trip, to go and do all of these things, to drive all that distance. That's a hard drive from Las Vegas to New York, downtown New York City. He picked the building. He picked the wrong floor, but he picked the right building of the NFL headquarters. So that is someone who has the capacity to do all of that.
He's reasoning. He's making his plot. He's planning all this.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, the sad case that was just dealt with Koberger, the mass murder in Idaho.
Yeah.
He plotted and planned all of that.
Right.
And even how he was going to respond after he carried out that horrible deed, killing those young people. So when they say, it was interesting, he didn't plead mental illness.
Who the
Koberger?
Yeah, and okay.
He did this. He did it deliberately. He thought about killing people.
Right.
All right. There is evil in this world.
Yeah.
We're seeing this, in the Middle East now. There's evil.
Yeah, there's evil in the world. That's right. And not all of now there is mental illness is real, But we as a society are quick to blame something on mental illness when it's just raw evil.
Yes.
And in this case, this guy, it's crazy to believe that you're making a legitimate point by killing people at a professional football office. That is nutty. That's crazy. That's insane. But what he did and how he plotted the whole thing is not a sign of mental illness, in my opinion.
No.
Also, I don't know. We are quick in this country to want to assign race or racial motivations to criminal activity, and this happened again yesterday. This Aaron
Burnett of CNN.
Aaron Burnett of CNN.
Yeah. Aaron is being skewered for
She's been
reporting
skewered, yeah.
that the gunman who opened fire in a Midtown skyscraper, again killing an NYPD cop and others, was possibly white after viewing the initial security footage released immediately after Shane Tamura's deadly rampage. I'm reading from the New York Post here. In the photos shared online, Tamura, 27, was captured in broad daylight again, walking into the building with a rifle in his hand. Burnett said police knew the gunman had, quote, sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white.
Why did she say possibly white?
That is a good question,
It wasn't
Tim.
even close. The guy's half black, half Asian, looks like to me.
Now, in her defense, the New York Post does say that early police reports suggested the suspect might be of Middle Eastern descent. But to answer your question, I think CNN and other news outlets are quick to try to always make this out to be a white person and or a Trump supporter. Because they want it to be a white person and or a Trump supporter.
I know I sound like a prosecutor here. I'm just asking you, Chris, why do you think that is?
Because the media is clearly against Trump, and they want to make out anything to be his fault, and they want to blame it on white people.
Ray, you following Chris over here?
That's a convoluted kind of argument to get from.
Chris is not making it. He's just telling us what
we
they
understand.
It's hard to explain the illogical, but that's what I think CNN's going with there.
Look, this is a man who had deep problems, right? As far as I can tell, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, nobody's come up with any, quote, political connections here whatsoever.
No.
So sometimes it's best to take a story at face value. Here's a deeply, deeply troubled man, now deceased, who probably did have some sort of brain injury from playing football. We'll take that at face value. But he was smart enough to plan, smart enough to get in his car. And Fred, as you said, that's a hard journey. That's a long way from Las Vegas
to New York.
Yeah, stopping along the way, eating, getting gas, and probably staying in a motel, whatever he did. But that took a certain amount of planning. He brought his rifle with him. Yeah, he made a mistake when he went to the wrong floor, but he knew exactly what he was doing. Those are not the actions of a crazy person. I don't see how this could be connected to anything on the political spectrum. It's just it's a sad and very sad story, but I don't see any possible political connection here.
I looked it up online, and a trip from Las Vegas to Manhattan, if you were driving, would be 37 hours. 2,525.8 miles.
Yeah, they were documenting last night, the New York City Police Department, I think it was the commissioner, how he traveled across the country, and they have him stopping in various states, from all the way from Las Vegas, drove all the way from Las Vegas to New York. But back to the racial designation for just a moment, I wanted to make a point because, again, what brought this up, CNN last night, when this is happening, they're showing live footage, the things, and they're saying who the suspect is. And Aaron Burnett on CNN says he's so-and-so, 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 possibly white. After you can see the video of him walking up, he's clearly not white. I don't know why she said that. But here's my point. The previous day, we had a white man that appeared to be white, involved in the stabbing incident at the in Michigan. Okay, so here's my point. You got to be careful about assigning racial motives to incidences or criminal activity when you don't know what you're talking about. You don't even have all the facts, and there are good people and bad people of all ethnicities, of all racial backgrounds, of all colors. You can't judge people by their skin color. You just can't. And why we want to continue to do this, I don't know. Now, are there demographics that are that have higher that the stats prove have higher probability of being involved in criminal activity? Yes, we do. Young black males are very vulnerable to getting involved in gang activity and criminal activity because of their environment, not because of their skin color, because they have no dads in the home, and many times, and they have no guidance, and so they get involved with bad company, not because of their skin color, but because of their environment and the way that they are, as I say, vulnerable to getting involved with the wrong kinds of people. Does that make sense?
It does. And to the question about how media treats this, media, and I'm talking mainstream liberal media, make an issue out of skin color.
Right.
It's really interesting.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
they do when it's a white person.
They are afraid if a black person is the perpetrator of the crime.
Okay.
Robbing banks or whatever the case. They are afraid if they identify the individual as a black person, they will be accused of being racist.
But why?
For doing that. Because of the culture in which we live, our universities teach that, that it goes back to critical race theory, that the black people are oppressed, the white people are the oppressor. It's really interesting. In the Michigan crime the other day, carried out the knifing, AP gave me a picture of the white guy. They have yet to give me a picture of the black guy who carried out the shooting yesterday. AP.
Okay.
All right. It is in the culture of the mainstream media now that black people are the oppressed, and therefore we must not add to their problems.
Well, but here's the problem with that is okay, do we want to talk history? Yes, there was slavery. Yes, there was pre-civil rights. There was oppression of black people in America. That's an absolute fact, and that's historical. Is that what we want to talk about? Or we want to talk about today, police are looking for a suspect who was involved in a shooting. Here he is.
Yeah.
And because the public is looking for him, or he was a 25-year-old, and then what is he? Is he black? Is he white? Is he Hispanic? I don't see. I know you guys aren't arguing with me, and I understand what you're saying, but I don't see why just reporting the facts of a matter becomes a racial profiling.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, except for the reason you mentioned. Now, one time I read the comments from this was a gentleman who was the creator or the executive producer of the show Cops. You familiar with that show?
Oh yeah.
The show Cops, and he said I intentionally skewer our show to show more white perpetrators than black perpetrators because I don't want to contribute to a racial stereotype.
There you go.
Okay, he said it out loud. He said, I know that the numbers show that there are more black young males per capita involved in gun violence or gun activity or criminal gang activity, but I don't show that because I don't want to contribute to racial stereotyping, which I'm speaking out against racial stereotyping because, as I said earlier, God made us all humans, and so it's really environmental. It's not, I don't think it has anything to do with what color skin you are on your actions.
No.
That's,
It goes back to what we talked about. It's a problem of the heart.
Yeah.
Whether you're white or black or brown,
Right.
it's a problem of the heart. Let's deal with that.
Right. All right, so Aaron Burnett on CNN, this is it's in real time. We're watching what's happening. She goes, so and so, the perpetrator, suspect is possibly white. I'm going like, possibly? What's either you are or you aren't.
Yeah.
Possibly white, huh?
Yeah.
How's that reported? I think she was hoping it would be a white guy with a MAGA hat on, Fred.
Yeah. And then she would talk
And
about
then
that.
she could say it's Trump's fault.
Obviously a Trump supporter.
Yeah, right. I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
I think they're desperately hoping the guy has a red hat on, right?
Yes.
So they can then blame Trump, right?
Yes.
That's how
Yes.
wackadoodle the media has become oftentimes. We'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
And he went and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene. Nazareth isn't mentioned in the Old Testament. We infer from this that not much importance was given to the town. In fact, we're led to believe that the town was even scorned by many, for was it not Nathanael who asked, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" The town was not located on any of the main thoroughfares. It lay slightly back out of the mainstream of traffic. The city owes its importance, of course, to the fact that it was the home of the Galilean carpenter. In a very real way, he put the town on the map. Mention of the town is made some 28 times in the New Testament, and each time it is in connection with Jesus. The town lay in a valley surrounded by hills which rise like amphitheaters. It is located in Lower Galilee. Thus, the one who came from Nazareth has often been known simply as the Galilean. The little city is located about 80 miles to the north of Jerusalem. To the west is the beautiful Mediterranean Sea, approximately 20 miles away. To the northeast is the breathtaking Sea of Galilee. There's a spring in Nazareth which never runs dry. In the days when Christ was a boy, it was the only source of water in the city. His mother Mary must have come often to the spring to fill her jars, stopping a while to socialize with the other ladies drawing water. Many times, perhaps Christ himself drank from the refreshing stream. It still flows to this day, and today it's known as Mary's Well. The area around Nazareth is rocky and rather rough. In the lovely plain of Eshkelon, located just to the south of the city, was an international highway in the days of Jesus. It was called the Via Maris, or the Way of the Sea, or the Road of the Sea, and it linked Damascus with Gaza and Egypt. To the east, one can see Mount Tabor, a possible site of the Transfiguration. To the west, one can see Mount Carmel and remember the struggle that Elijah had there with the prophets of Baal. Jesus wasn't very popular in Nazareth after he began his public ministry. In fact, following one sermon in the synagogue, he was literally run out of town. The townspeople intended to push Jesus down a hillside and then stone him, but he was able to walk through their ranks and out of the city. The hill of precipitation commemorating the event is shown to visitors of Nazareth today. Some people blame their place of birth or their natural surroundings for their shortcomings, but not that man. Nazareth may have been a backward town, but there was nothing backward about the man who made the town famous. His vision was forward toward eternity. No place of birth, no prejudice on the part of other people, no lack of sophistication ever hindered him from rising to the heights God had called him. The town owes whatever fame and recognition it has to the one who grew up there, tending his father's carpenter shop and perhaps even occasionally keeping watch over a flock of sheep in the field. Nazareth was the place where the Galilean lived. In that respect, hopefully, there's a little of Nazareth in each of us.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." Matthew 19:14.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim, Fred, Chris, and Ray. And Fred, I want folks to know about our news service, because if they're tired of the liberal news media
Yes.
We have an alternative, don't we? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Your dad, many years ago, almost 30 years ago now, said, when we make announcements, the American Family Association, the mainstream media, very liberal, they take the announcement, they twist it around, they make us out to be people that we are not. He said, we're just going to have a news service. And that's how it all got birthed. And God has blessed. We have a news service now. On the radio side of things, we have newscasts at the top of the clock. And by the way, we now have more than 100 affiliates across the country in stations that we don't own. They appreciate our news so much.
What about the daily news?
Yes.
Monday through Friday, and not on the weekends, but Monday through Friday, we have a once-a-day news digest if people want to get it that way, right?
Absolutely. Our website is afn.net. Up in the right-hand corner, you can go there and sign up. Just put your email. That's all you have to do. And as you say, Tim, one email a day from our news service, Monday through Friday, and we will give you a summary of the major news stories of the day, and including what we have from our own reporters who go out. They get reaction to what's going on in the world out there from a Christian perspective. That's what makes us very, very unique. So we invite you to do that. Doesn't cost you a cent, folks. You will get this digest, as you say, Tim, this summary of the major news stories of the day that you can take. I encourage people to do that. If you're a homeschooling family, take it, use it to kind of give examples of to your kids of what's going on in the world. We come at things from a Christian worldview. That's what makes us very unique. So, folks, sign up for that. Right-hand corner, afn.net. Sign up for it, and you'll get that summary in your email box once a day.
Yeah. All right, you're listening to the radio program, Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Well, one of the programs we have here daily on AFR is Dr. Nurse Mama with Dr. Jessica Peck. She's on from 2 to 3 o'clock Central Time each weekday afternoon. And she happens to be in Tupelo, visiting with us from her home state of Texas. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
So we call you Dr. Peck or Jessica? Or
You can call me Jessica. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Now, what kind of doctor are you, by the way?
I have a Doctor of Nursing Practice degree, so I'm so glad you asked that. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner working in primary care for the last 20 years. I've been a nurse for, it pains me to say this, but more than 30 years now I've been a pediatric nurse.
All right. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
Oh, my goodness. It would be, how long do you have?
We're
talking about kids here.
I got a story, but
Okay.
you can, then that may quote trigger you on something. But Allison, my wife, and I, we've been married 41 years yesterday.
Oh,
by the
congratulations.
way. So we raised 3 children, and many of our listeners are familiar with Wesley. He's on the show usually Tuesdays and Thursdays with us here. And Wesley's in his mid-30s now. Of course, when your kids get that old, you start losing track of how old they are. You have to remember what year they were born. Then you have to start tabulating it in your mind and trying to figure out. And by that time, you just go mid-30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 kids of his own now. But when he was about 3, I think he was about 3 or 2 maybe, we were coming back from a trip from Arkansas. We were either coming back from Arkansas or Texas, but we went through Arkansas. Anyway, when we got across the bridge near Memphis, this is the best I can remember it, which is about an hour and a half from our home, Allison looked back, and Wesley was playing with crayons, right, and drawing and so forth. Well, some reason he got a crayon up his nose.
Definitely seen that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it broke off.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
I've actually
you
removed
tracking
those
with
before.
me now?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, you've seen this before.
Right there, for sure.
Okay, and probably other objects too.
Yeah, and Wesley co-hosts with me every Share-a-thon, so you're
Okay.
giving me information
Well,
and
I'm just
material
telling
here
you,
that I'm taking
if you wonder
notes
what
for in
happened to the
October.
boy, this is
Because last time he co-hosted with me, he had busted his head open, and he looked like Frankenstein.
He's just an accident waiting to happen. So it does. But anyway, so we went to the
urgent care.
Well, no, it was ear,
emergency
nose, and
room?
throat.
Okay, all right.
We went to we knew we had to go ear, nose, and throat.
Yep.
And we went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor. And Allison, my wife, she knew the doctor personally. And so they took him in there, Wesley, again, he's like 2 or 3 years old, maybe 4 at the most. And then the doctor said, he looked up there and he said, I got one shot.
Yep.
I got one shot to pull that crayon out of his nose. Otherwise, we're going to have to, I guess, do surgery or something. I don't know, put him under.
Yep.
So they did it, and fortunately, the doctor was able to pull half the crayon out from up the nostril. But anyway, that's what when you said your profession, I thought about all these crazy things that you see with kids that you.
One day I'll write a book about it.
Do you train for that in medical school?
Oh, you absolutely do. And actually, one of the fun things is I'm a mom of 4 kids. So when my kids were little, I would bring them with me to train the kids. I'll tell you this one story real quick because I was teaching them, you never ask a kid a yes or no question when you don't need them to say no. And so, of course, this student, he was a male student. He was like a football player, very big, beefy guy. And he was talking with my 4-year-old daughter, and he said, are you ready to take your medicine? And all I told her was, if they ask you anything, yes or no, just say no. So she said no. 5 minutes later, he's on his knees with his wallet trying to give her $20. And I said, have you learned a lesson? He said, yes. No yes or no questions.
Yeah. Ray, you raised how many kids?
3 boys.
You got
okay.
They're still all. They got kids of their own now.
It's amazing they are still alive. Let's just put it that way.
I thought I was a good mom. I had 2 girls first, and then I realized, I was just a girl mom.
Well,
Boys,
girls often become tomboys, at least early in life, so they can
do that too.
They can get into trouble.
Yeah.
All right. You've been doing the show with us how many years now?
Almost 2. It'll be my 2nd birthday in October.
And what's your? I got several questions I want to ask you, but what is your motivation for doing the show? Yeah.
Well, the tagline for my show is prescribing hope for healthy families. And, you know, Tim, I've got a professional skill set. I have 30 years of experience. I have more degrees than I need. I clearly need a new hobby. That's what my credentials spell. But none of that is worth anything without faith in God, without the principles of Scripture to guide my parenting. And so that's what I want to put all together. That works for me as a nurse practitioner, holistic, mind, body, spirit. And really what we do every day is prescribing hope, because we live in a dark world that is really difficult to raise kids. They're facing threats that we didn't have. And we see this generation gap where as parents, we're trying to guide them through something that we don't even speak the language. So we're behind and trying to figure that out. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to step in and to share some of that content knowledge, but also point them to the hope of Jesus.
Okay, the other day I was listening to your show.
Okay, I'm getting scared now.
Okay,
I'm getting nervous.
No.
Is this like a report card?
This is all good.
The principal came in, and you know when they do the teacher evaluation. Yeah. Okay, right here live on the radio. I'm ready.
This is all good.
Okay.
Okay, so I was listening to your show, and you had a whole segment on screen time.
I did.
With especially with children, but we all need to pay attention to that. And how the world's changed with electronics and cell phones and iPads and computers and all the music and TV and streaming. The whole world of that has changed with the internet and all the things. So, but you were saying we need to set up guidelines to watch for so that we don't get too addicted to these.
Yes.
To this. Talk about that.
So every Friday, I have a show that I call Ask Dr. Nurse Mama Friday, and I answer questions that listeners have. And since January, we've been going through 52 habits for healthy families. And I present families with science-supported, scripture-backed, simple habits. It's not in a life hack or an app or anything like that. It's just these simple rhythms and disciplines. And so we started in January. We talked about praying, reading your Bible, going to church. This is not rocket science. I was telling you guys before, I'm married to a rocket scientist who thinks it's funny that people think I'm the smart one, but it really is in those simple disciplines. But we've been spending the last 10 weeks of the summer talking about technology and how it impacts our family. And so it's really important because parents don't know how to parent without a screen. screen. You can't go to a grocery store without seeing a toddler soothed by an iPad. That's how we keep them quiet. If a teenager rebels, the first thing we do is take their phone. And I'm really trying to help parents to realize we can't be the screen police. We really have to be the heart police. And remembering that police are there to protect and to serve. And we can't just obsess about screen time and just take it away. We've got to provide them a compelling alternative. And the only thing that the world is not providing as a counterfeit is real, authentic relationships. God designed kids to want a relationship with their parents, and that is where we need to step in and fill in the gap.
Amen, sister. Also, along the lines of an everyday practical thought would be go out and play.
Yes,
huh?
Absolutely.
Go out and especially during the summer. I'm just so happy to see my grandchildren outdoors. They're going fishing. They're riding their bikes.
That's a compelling alternative.
Yeah, they're playing with their friends in the neighborhood or whatever the case may be, camping, whatever the case. But they're not sitting there in their den, zombied out. They do play video games, but I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. You see these parents and they're like, kids are like locked, they're staying in their room all day. They're just, a lot of times parents, unfortunately, don't even know what they're doing online, these kids.
We're talking about a fundamental takedown of childhood because that screen consumption, it alters the way our brain processes memories. Even they just did it. There was an interesting study that looked at people who used a GPS for a map and then taxi drivers who knew the city, and their brains were mapped completely differently. So we have remapping of brains by algorithms. We have a disruption of melatonin production by blue light emission, so that makes us not sleep at night. So then what are we doing? Taking melatonin to compensate for that. But we have something called digital soothing, where that's where we give our kids at a restaurant or whatever, we give them a tablet. Anytime there's any uncomfortable emotion, we see kids who are sitting for hours and hours who are having heart disease similar to 40-year-olds.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. We're seeing an overweight epidemic just because of the lack of activity, not going outside. We see a decrease in free play time. So everything is controlled. And when it's not controlled, they're anxious. I mean, this is what I see as a fundamental takedown of the American childhood.
You know, I feel blessed many times. I grew up in rural Canada. There wasn't a season of the year where we went outside. Winter did not stop us. We built tunnels and snowbanks. I mean, you just
adapt.
My grandfather was a farmer, so we spent time with animals. That sort of thing. So I feel very blessed, but I know exactly what you're saying. And we often say in our neighborhood, summers can be a difficult time for families.
Yes.
Especially around here, we've had really hot weather lately.
Yes.
And we see no kids on the street.
Yes.
Everybody's inside.
Well, the good thing is we're just finishing up in our Healthy Habits series technology, and I'm moving into a safety series. So how can you play outside and be safe in the sun? How can you play outside and be safe in the water? How can you play outside and be safe on playgrounds and those kinds of things for summer? And I think parents just need some encouragement and some equipping to do that. And I want to see that happen.
I have a question here as it relates to it. Kids learn from their parents, and I've been to restaurants and I've been to even kids events at schools and whatnot, and mom or dad are on their phone.
Yep.
I've been to restaurants and I've seen the entire family on their phone.
Yep.
So do mom and dad? I know it's a basic question, but do mom and dad need to set an example here?
It's a great question, actually, because we are such hypocrites as parents. And again, talking about this fundamental takedown of childhood.
Hurts, Jessica. That's really hurtful.
I know, isn't it hurtful? I know. I'm watch out, because tuck in your toes, because they're about to get stepped on really big time here. But what we see is a difference in the way that families even interact in their own household. Used to, imagine in the 50s, families would gather around a screen together. They would watch the same program. In the 40s, they would gather around the radio, fireside chats. Now we have siloed streaming. So everyone can be sitting on the same couch, but having a fundamentally different emotional and cognitive experience. There's no bonding of that together. You text your kid who's in the next room, hey, it's time for dinner. There's no walking to their room, seeing what they're doing. That is so important. And in my field in science, we're studying what we're calling it is phubbing. It's phone snubbing, PHUBBING. Okay. It's actually scientifically measurable. And we are such hypocrites because we have this love-hate relationship with phones. We hate our kids' phones, but we love ours. And it's attached to our side. And you go to any school event, any community sport event, and you see parents more engaged in their online life than the real life going in front of them. And what the research shows is that kids today will die with more memories of someone else's life than their own because of the amount of time they're spending on their phones.
I think
and parents are responsible.
For a lot of adults, a lot of parents, I think that's the texting. Maybe I know people are online as far as the internet and so forth, because I do. I read. I'm addicted to news sites, So if I got a
That's
downtime,
the first step is
if
confession.
I'm downtime, I'm looking at a news app to see what's going on in the world. And there's nothing inherently wrong about that. It's just like, by the time you look up, you're going, well, I've been on there 30 minutes,
Yes, it's a thief of time.
But I would say that I think a lot of people, the texting is gotten out of hand, because I'm like everybody here.
Yeah.
You probably got 6 or 8 text things going on at one time throughout the day, and you feel like, well, I got to get back to that, or I got to get.
That's how the news team talks to one another.
Yeah, I mean, it's convenient on one level, and another level you're going like
constant.
You're
connection.
swimming in, okay, gonna have to think about this. What do I say? And anyway, like that. But Dr. Jessica Peck with us, host of Dr. Nurse Mama, heard each weekday afternoon, 2 to 3 o'clock Central Time on American Family Radio. Ray, did you have a question for Dr. Peck?
I was just listening, Jessica, to what you had to say, and I wonder what do you say to the parents who are using screen time to pacify the kids, to keep them quiet, to keep them from causing trouble? I mean, one of the answers is going to be listen to your program for the tips, but help us out here a little bit, Jessica.
Sure.
What's a beginning step parents can take?
Give them a Sudoku, I would say. Let them try that.
Yeah, the beginning step is to give yourself grace and space to be human, recognizing there is no perfect parent. Every generation of parents has had their own struggle. We think of the greatest generation who was so brave and yet didn't know how to deal with trauma from war, and so stuffed it down. It was be stoic. And then we have the generation after that, the silent generation, raised to be seen and not heard. Don't trigger your parents' trauma. And then we had the baby boomers who said, forget this, we want to be loved, and we're going to be loved no matter what. And then you have Gen X who raised themselves, and the latchkey kids, they said, we'll raise kids differently. And they have millennials who do love their parents but are mocked for it. And so we go on and so forth. So I think the first thing to do is to give yourself grace and space to be human, recognize that it's a problem, ask the Lord to help you. And the best thing to do is to have your kids hold you accountable. Sit down, reset the boundaries, say, I've learned some things that are going to help our family be healthier. It's going to be hard. We're going to mess up, but I want you to hold me accountable. Let me tell you, kids will run in and say, if you say no phones at the table, that's one of the rules we have, a phone-free zone, no phones ever at the dinner table. If I even, have a hint of reaching toward my phone, my kids are like, no, not going to happen. So you've all just got to work on it together. Just choose one thing. And again, on the program, we're walking through how do we do that with grace.
I'm so guilty of many of those things.
Me too. Me too. My kids, I feel like my kids are about to call in. I'm glad you don't have callers right now, because they would tell you.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for being in Tupelo to visit with us, and appreciate your show. Now, your home base is in
Houston.
Houston, yeah.
That's right. I am in Houston.
The Houston area. We got a lot of listeners there, 88.3 in Conroe.
Yeah, we do. Hey, y'all. I'm going to give a Texas shout out right there.
By the way, did you bring any brisket or no?
I ate it already.
Okay.
I brought it from Buc-ee's.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, they're brisket sandwiches.
One of their 11 million locations.
That's worth
I'm telling
stopping
you.
for.
I was recently in London, and I was in a ride share, and the guy said, "Oh, we got to go to a big gas station. This one has 4 pumps." And I said, "Sir, we got 120."
Right.
He couldn't even imagine it.
All right, thank you, Jessica.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. Thank you.
Okay, that's Dr. Jessica Peck, host of Dr. Nurse Mama. Listen to her each afternoon here on American Family Radio from 2 to 3 o'clock Central Time, right here on AFR. All right, I'm Tim Wildman with Fred Jackson and Chris Woodward and Dr. Ray Pritchard. You are listening to today's issues here on AFR. What's the next story, Chris?
Well, I want to bring in we're going to circle back to use a Sakiism, to Aaron Burnett's comments about the possibly white gunman. To prove to people that we're not making a mountain out of a molehill, I've been told we have this audio. It is clip 16. Here we go.
Join you here to John's reporting that they do know what he looks like, male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses, in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floors, is where they're focused.
Bless her heart.
I don't know where in the world you get possibly white from.
It's a wonder she didn't say possibly MAGA.
This is.
Let's just plant that
that's what
thought
she
there.
wanted to say. Possibly a Trump supporter.
This is the network that is. They're one of those that believes the white person is the oppressor and is oftentimes guilty of all kinds of things. It could be that mindset driving what she said.
If that's what you want to believe, go for it. But just we need Sergeant Friday.
Just the facts.
When we're doing a developing news story, we need just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah.
And when you have a obviously half black, half Asian man, and you're calling him possibly white, that's a reach. That's a real hope. I'm just hoping it's a white guy.
Yeah.
But you know, it also speaks of a conditioning.
Yeah, in her head.
Her mind has been conditioned.
That's right.
I better not say black because in case I'm wrong, they're going to think I'm a racist.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's sad.
Well, like I said, just tell the truth. What is it? Okay. We got a man stabbing people at a Walmart in Michigan. What ethnicity is he? For the purposes of identifying him to help, you would say he's a white guy. Although, I don't know after the fact what that really matters. You know, unless you're searching for somebody.
Yeah.
What does it matter? You just say it was a male who was in his mid-50s or whatever like that. So, possibly white.
It could be. I worked in television, and the producer is the one that puts the information in the teleprompter that the talent is reading from. It could be somebody that works for Ann Burnett, put that in the teleprompter, and she just read it cold. It is possible. Likely is another issue.
Yeah, next story.
All right. We do have some audio here. I want to play this. It's a little bit. One of the survivors of the horrible flooding out in Texas about a month ago was on Fox and Friends this morning. She took a song called Hallelujah, and she kind of flipped it, made it her own, and she's singing about the experience that she went through and the flood victims here. We can cut out of this when we need to, but clip 14.
I heard there was a giant flood, but we were washed in Jesus' blood. And you don't really care for my news, do ya? On July the 4th, 2025, the water rose and we went adrift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Our faith.
That was Camp Mystic survivor Skylar Darrington on Fox and Friends this morning performing her cover or rendition of Hallelujah. I'll post the link to the entire song. It's very moving.
Did you see that?
I saw it this morning live, and it was incredible. Just to think, this little girl, 12 years old, she was in that Camp Mystic when those waters rose. She was able to get out, she was rescued, but she's singing this to honor those who didn't make it out. More than 20 of those little kids who perished in that flood back there, I guess 3-4 weeks ago, July 4th. She said she had help from her mom, but she decided to rewrite the lyrics to that song. That song's been around for a long time to honor those victims. And so it was really neat. Lauren Daigle, they asked her who her favorite Christian singer was. And she responded and why she likes Lauren Daigle. And unbeknownst to this 12-year-old girl, Lauren Daigle was standing behind a curtain just off the set. And she walks out. And they have a hug, and they talk about this. So it was really a neat session. You know, Tim, you talk about all the negative news in the world. This little girl is bringing some light to that.
Amen. All right, we're going to take a break right here. We'll be back after the news. Is Steve Paisley Jordahl?
He's here.
Back from the dock?
Yes, he's back.
All right, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
American Family Radio has always been portable, but thanks to technology, AFR apps have redefined our portability. Whether you prefer Apple or Android, we've got you covered on your phone or tablet. We're also available on Roku, and of course, you can get Alexa to play us on your smart device. Take us with you across town or across the country. Visit afr.net or your app store today.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump breaking with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying he sees real signs of starvation in Gaza and is pledging to set up new food centers. Netanyahu says it is trying to send critical aid to Gaza, but says Hamas is benefiting from the perception of a humanitarian crisis. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee also points the finger at Hamas.
It's a mess, but it is a mess because Hamas has made it a mess. They could have ended this 2 years ago, shortly after October the 7th, but they chose not to.
Federal officials have arrested an illegal alien who was working as a police officer in Maine.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials say John Luke Evans, a Jamaican national, was arrested after he tried to buy a gun for his job as a reserve police officer with the Old Orchard Beach Police Department. Evans was taken into custody after his attempt to make the purchase sent an alert to alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives agents. Federal officials say Evans legally entered the U.S. in September 2023 in Miami, but overstayed his visa. He was due to leave the U.S. a month later, but never boarded his flight. The case is similar to a Massachusetts incident in April when an illegally present citizen of Congo was arrested while trying to buy a firearm. He was working as a corrections officer at the time. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
The Food and Drug Administration is announcing actions that the agency is taking against the dangerous 7-OH opioid. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary warns of how widely available it is.
It is sold in vape stores, in smoke shops, in convenience stores, and gas stations that are popping up all over the United States, and nobody knows what it is.
The flight tracking website FlightAware.com reporting that there have been more than 1,100 delays and 66 cancellations on flights within, into, or out of the U.S. to date. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says many of the recurring issues are the fault of the previous administration, who he says did not care about air travel because of their war on carbon.
They didn't care about air travel because I don't think they wanted you to travel. They wanted you to sit at home because when you travel, you use carbon, and they have a war on carbon. So sit at home, don't travel, and if we can slow it down, make it harder, they're better off with their green scam.
President Trump unveiled his action plan for AI last week. Steve Jordahl reports experts say it's a good start.
America's AI action plan has 4 major goals: to export American AI, build giant data centers, deregulate, and attack bias. And while the written plan does not mention the country by name, the goal is to beat China to the top. Bob McGinnis, author of the upcoming book AI for Mankind's Future, says deregulating the technology must be done very, very carefully.
The president has some great people. They're doing great stuff, but removing carte blanche guardrails can be dangerous. But at the same time, we're in a nuclear-like space race with the Chinese.
He says the Chinese are trying to entice other countries to back its push to dominance, offering the technology almost for free.
The Chinese are coming out with global thinking, strategy. Their generative AI programs are going to be very expansive, and they're going to be very accessible, which really is problematic for us.
McGinnis says the current challenge is understanding AI's logic.
We need to have explainability for chain of thought reasoning that these systems go through when they make decisions.
But he says the technology is growing so rapidly that, like a wildfire out of control, it threatens to consume everything in its path.
It's going to be smarter than we are, and it acts on its own. Then we very much are in deep problems.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
U.S. stocks are edging back from their record levels on Tuesday as an incredible busy week for Wall Street picks up momentum. The S&P 500 was down 0.2% in midday trading after setting an all-time high 6 straight days. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 202 points, and the Nasdaq Composite down 0.3% from its own record. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
I'll do some stand-up comedy, Abe will do some preaching, and I'm really excited about it. The Weekend with AFA is a chance for our supporters to get better acquainted with the people and ministry you're supporting.
It's a Weekend with AFA, Thursday, October 2nd through Saturday, October 4th in Tupelo, Mississippi. Speakers will include Abraham Hamilton III, Jenna Ellis, Tim Barton, Tim Wildman, and more. Register at afa.net/weekend. That's afa.net/weekend.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR on this Tuesday, July the 29th, 2025. In studio is Fred Jackson, Steve Paisley, Jordahl.
I don't think Chris would mind.
Okay. Chris Woodward was with us earlier, raised in Kansas City, and we thank you for listening. So what's our first story today, Steve?
You know, I keep scrolling through my Twitter feed, and I'm seeing these unhinged liberals screaming about how there's a famine going on in Gaza. The people, we're starving them. There's food. They just can't eat. Israel's not letting them eat. That's the narrative that's out there, and I tell you, it's getting unhinged. I think Mike Huckabee has some things to say about this. Maybe he can set the record straight, and I have been looking at it too. So if he's
the ambassador to Israel for the United States.
He is the American ambassador to Israel, and this is what he had to say about it. Cut 15.
It's a mess, but it is a mess because Hamas has made it a mess. They could have ended this 2 years ago, shortly after October the 7th, but they chose not to. After they massacred 1,200 people and brutally murdered them, then they took 250 hostages where they continued to torture them. Most of them are out, but there are still 20 living hostages, we think, and then the rest are deceased, but their remains are still in Gaza. It's not a pleasant situation, but it's unbelievable to me, Dana, that you see worldwide all the pressure is being put on the Israelis. The pressure should be put on Hamas. They're the ones who keep changing every opportunity to end this. The president was exactly right when a couple of months ago he urged us to stand up a food operation, which we did, called GHF. We fed over 96 million meals safely. It's also been a model so that Hamas can't steal it. Those were the two things the president said. Get food to the people who need it, but make it so that Hamas can't steal it. The UN method, which, by the way, has been a disaster, is one that, as they like to use the euphemism, it's self-distributed. That means the food is stolen off the trucks as they drive in. So is there suffering? Yes. Is it as bad as some of the Europeans say it is? No. But it could be a whole lot better. It could all be over quickly if Hamas would finally decide there's no future for them there, which is exactly what the president keeps saying.
Yeah. You know, several points there. And the main one being, this never had to happen in Gaza. Hamas initiated this on October 7th, 2023. Hamas could end this any day of the week if they would just put up the surrender sign and let those hostages go. This is all of Hamas, but the mainstream media around the world, governments, sadly, British government, French government, are all blaming Israel for this. You know, each day, the Associated Press puts out stories on this every day, and they like to do a death count of the number of Gazans they say the Israelis have killed. But you know what their source is? AP source is? Hamas.
Oh.
Hamas runs the medical system in Gaza. That is their source. Why do you think terrorists have any resistance against lying? Of course they're lying. Mike Huckabee, I saw the whole interview on Fox this morning. He was asked about the images that are being put out there, the pictures that people are reacting to. He says, one of the pictures that they've put out there is from 2017, even before all of this happened. He says they've been putting out pictures of this woman holding this terrible situation, but he says it's of a disabled baby, a physically disabled baby. But next to this woman, what you don't see is her other child who has been well fed. This is an anti-Israel propaganda on steroids that's going on out there right now. He also has some very sharp criticism of President Macron of France, who has said that he will recognize and is recognizing a separate Palestinian state. And Mike Huckabee said, you know what? If Macron wants a separate state for Palestine, why doesn't he give up some of the French Riviera and give those to the Gazans so they can live there? But he says, no, that's not the interest here. The Hamas people keep their own people miserable, and then Israel gets blamed for this. So very strong. I'm so glad that we have Mike Huckabee as our ambassador there.
Yeah. Ray, any thoughts here?
Well, let me just jump on the last thing you said. Mike Huckabee is the best U.S. ambassador in my memory, the best one to represent not just U.S. interests, but he's an evangelical Christian.
Amen.
Minister. Yeah. He understands biblical truth. He couldn't be a better man there. And is there suffering in Gaza? Absolutely.
Yes.
And is there some degree of starvation there? Yes. But lay that responsibility where it belongs, at the doorstep of Hamas. They have deliberately created a situation where their own people are starving, where the aid cannot get to them. So let the truth be told. This is not caused by the IDF. It's not caused by anything the Israelis did. It's Hamas who started it, and they're the ones who are keeping their own people. They're holding them hostage to create sympathy around the world and then blame the Israelis for the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, I think anything's going to change this. I would call it a false narrative that many, the UN and others put forth about Israel. Because as you guys say, this could stop now if Hamas would give over the hostages that they hold. By this stopping, I mean this. Israel, as I said yesterday, Israel is going to have to still maintain. I don't know what they're going to do with these people in Gaza because they got no future. They got no. As long as Hamas, which is the organization they choose as their political leadership, that is the Gazans, the Palestinians, they're Arab Muslims, basically. As long as they continue to have Hamas run things, and Hamas has vowed to drive Israel into the sea and kill the Jews, Israel can't let Hamas bring in weapons that can be used again against Israel. So you might refer to that as sort of a blockade, if you want to, a security blockade. So Israel has to watch what comes into Gaza from the sea and from the land, and they have to check these things, including trucks that say they have food, because it could be rockets, or they could be things assembled to build rockets, for example, or guns and that kind of stuff. So it's a bad situation, but it's interesting that, so the French, Macron, is that his name?
Yes.
He's criticizing Israel.
Yes.
And Mike Huckabee says, okay, then why don't you open up some of the French Riviera and the Gazans can go there and live.
Yes.
But you're not going to do that, are you?
No. Yeah. And we have to have our folks be clear on this. These folks now, the UK this morning, Foreign Secretary, I think, is giving a speech right now in New York saying that UK is going to recognize the state of Palestine. Listen.
What?
Yes, the UK. Yes, recognize the state of Palestine.
There's no state of Palestine.
It's not there. It's not. Yeah, in their mind, this is what they want. The UN has got something going on right now recognizing it. They say the two-state solution. Has our ambassador, Mike Huckabee, has pointed out in an interview with us back a couple of months ago. Listen, Israel, has an example, gave up Gaza, that land called Gaza. They gave that up back several years ago in the interest of peace in the Middle East.
Yes, they did.
Guess what happened? You know, they've had to live with problems from Gaza.
Should have never done it.
Ever since.
Should have never done it.
You could create a Palestinian state. There's not going to be any peace because these people preach hatred against the Jewish people.
Gaza Strip there in Israel is Israel's land.
Yes.
But about when was it? 15, 20 years ago, they made Jews leave. Israel made the Jews who lived in the Gaza Strip leave.
Yes.
Because they said, we're giving this land to the Palestinians, to the Arabs. They can basically run their own lives here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they used it for a launching pad to attack Israel.
Yes.
So Israel never should have done that. I'm sure they wouldn't do it again. That was, if you want to call it a land for peace deal, or you want to call it that was a trial run for a, quote, Palestinian state.
Yes.
End of quote, right there. And if you want to know why the whole world always condemns Israel at the UN, it's Israel and all the rest of them, all the other countries around them are all Muslim.
Yes.
So they're going to always condemn Israel. It doesn't matter whether they're Shia or Sunni. Ray, any thoughts on this at all before we move on here?
Look, Israel's doing the only thing they can do. They were attacked.
Right.
October 7th,
right.
They were attacked unilaterally. They were attacked without warning, and hundreds of Jewish
11 to 1,200 of them were murdered.
Were murdered right there. So ask yourself who started this. Hamas started this. Israel has been defending itself, trying to remove Hamas and their leaders from Gaza. They've been very successful, but obviously, guys, they got a long way to go because Hamas somehow is still, in concert with the UN, I think, basically involved. The end result of what they're doing, they're starving their own people and blaming it on Israel.
Yes.
It's evil beyond belief what they're doing.
The UN is deeply complicit in all of the horrors that are going on there. They are the ones that are hijacking the food and hiding it. They sell it to Hamas, which has to sell it to the Palestinians so they can fund their terror enterprise. Israel has been airdropping food directly into the people that need it. But the UN is deeply corrupt. Yeah.
Go ahead, next story.
All right. Tim, do you know who Skip Bayless is?
I do.
All right. So Skip Bayless is an ESPN sports talk host and has a podcast. And he went on a little bit of a rampage. He doesn't like what Scotty Scheffler had to say about priorities, if you can believe it.
Talking about the world's number one golfer.
Number one
golfer.
golfer.
Who don't know.
Yeah, so before the British Open, which just happened, Scotty Scheffler sat down and says, I want to be a better father than I want to be a golfer. I want to prioritize my family. Golf will find its place, but my priority is my family. Well, Skip was having none of it. He prefaced this remark, it was longer, I cut this part out, by saying that he focused so much on his career that he lost his first marriage. His second marriage is in trouble. Because he was.
Wait a minute, excuse me, just for
so
we don't confuse anybody. You're not talking about Scotty Scheffler losing his first family.
Skip Bayless, thank you. Skip Bayless lost his first wife. Skip Bayless has said his second marriage is in trouble, and yet he has this to say about Scotty Scheffler. 13.
I have no idea if Tiger or Jordan or Tom Brady have a spiritual side, because I've never heard them talk about God, not that I can remember. All three were just obsessed with winning. They couldn't wait to win again and again and again until their bodies finally just gave out, because each of these three believed they were born to dominate. Nothing made them happier than dominating. So it was that I was jolted and jarred by what Scotty Scheffler said on the eve of the British Open. No, Scotty, no. God gave you spectacular ability. to play the world's hardest game, gave you the strongest competitive drive since Tiger, gave you what Jack Nicklaus had, what Ben Hogan had, and you can't just shrug it off at age 29 and focus on, as you said, being a better father than a golfer. You can't do that, Scotty. No, God wants you to maximize the platform from which you can honor him and encourage fans to open their hearts to him, to God. That's what God has led or called you to do, Scotty, not to focus on your wife and infant son before you're 30.
I don't know.
You wonder why his first marriage, Scotty Bayless's first marriage failed, right, Ray?
Wow. Skip Bayless giving a lesson on child rearing and theology.
Yeah,
Scotty
I noticed that. He was speaking for God.
Speaking for God there. This is what God wants you to do.
Well, listen, Scotty Scheffler, for those who don't follow the world of golf, he's a Texan from the Dallas area. He's the number one golfer in the world and has been for the last couple of years. And he's the closest thing to Tiger Woods in terms of his ability.
Since Tiger Woods.
Now, Tiger Woods is, his golf career is finished, but when you look at it, he's the number one and the number two golfer in the history of the world with Jack Nicklaus. You would mention those two people together, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. But Scotty Scheffler is on that trajectory to be mentioned in the same breath with these guys at the end of his career. He's only 29 years old, but Scotty Scheffler is a Christian man, and he doesn't hide that at all. He's very open about his Christian faith. In fact, he says he makes it he wants his caddy to be a Christian. He's a part of the Christian fellowship of the professional golfers, and he's a family man. He doesn't, he's with his family all the time if he's not practicing his sport or is he not playing in one of these tournaments. So I don't know what Skip Bayless there, who is a ESPN commentator, is the point he's trying to make. It's messed up. Okay, really messed up, because all Scotty Scheffler said was, I want to be my priorities are my God and my family and then my profession. That's what he's saying. He's not saying he doesn't want to be good at his profession. He wants to be good and great at his profession. But what Skip Bayless is saying there, that because Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods had an insatiable desire to dominate in their sports, that makes them somehow superior. I don't know, people. He did say, Skip Bayless, it was convoluted logic.
Yeah.
I use logic. He's saying that by being the best golfer you can be gives you a better platform to promote God, he said. That's what Skip Bayless said. Well, not if your priorities are whacked or out of whack. Something's gonna give there. So anyway, so next story, Steve.
All right. We need to give some media lessons to our Democrat friends in Congress. Jasmine Crockett, who is the up-and-coming liberal squad-type member and very provocative in everything she says. She was being interviewed by The Atlantic. They were going to do a profile on her. And so she talked to them and everything. And then she found out that they called other Democrat congresspersons to talk about what they thought about Jasmine Crockett. She didn't like that. So she called up The Atlantic and said, I'm shutting down the profile and revoking all my permissions. And someone's got to tell her, that ain't the way it works.
I'm shutting down my profile.
Your profile of me.
Your profile of me. Oh, too late.
Too late.
Pull the story. They were talking to other Democrats, and she was even worried about what other Democrats might be saying.
Be flattering.
Yes. Therefore, the story cannot run.
Yeah, she's the congresswoman from the Dallas area, I think.
Yes.
That said a lot of wackadoodle things.
Uh-huh.
She's a squad member type.
Oh, yeah.
She is. Yeah. She's the new face of the squad. And if I may say so, everything she says is based on racial the racial profiling, racist kind of stuff.
So the Atlantic, which is a liberal news magazine, was going to do a feature on her, and she didn't like them talking to other Democrats about what they thought about her, right?
Yeah, so she called it and said, "I'm shutting it down."
I do
Oh,
that.
no, you're not.
Nope.
Yeah.
But the bigger story here is, this is what this is really all about, because there are Democrats who do not like her. Forget about Republicans.
Right, yeah.
There are Democrats who don't like her, who worry about her and the other squad members and what that may mean for the midterm elections.
Right.
Because they're so wacky.
Yeah. Next story.
All right, you know who else is a little wacky?
Who's a little wacky, Steve?
The WNBA. Now, I have made it a point to not pay a whole lot of attention to the WNBA, but I have to tell you this story. So the Phoenix Mercury were playing a game on Sunday, and one of the players, her hand got caught on another player, Kalea Cooper's wig got pulled off of her head. She's wearing a wig.
All right, start over here.
This is a WNBA game.
Yeah.
And this guard for the Phoenix Mercury was in a play, and one of the opposition players grabbed at her and got her hair by mistake and pulled the wig off.
Okay.
Well, they had to stop the whole game. They had to pause the game. This gal went into the locker room to put her wig back on. Meanwhile, someone in the stands laughed and kind of made fun of the whole situation. The referees went up into the stand and tossed this guy out and gave him a lifetime ban from the WNBA because he dared to make fun of this person who lost her wig during the game. This is why I don't pay a whole lot of attention.
Hold on a second. The refs?
Yeah. The bench of the Phoenix Mercury complained to the referees, hey, that person was... So the referees went and got security to kick the guy out and gave the guy a lifetime ban from the WNBA.
Well, that's happened to me before.
Losing the wig part or getting the ban?
Losing the wig. I lost my wig in a game one time at Church League, and it was embarrassing.
I bet it was.
Yeah, it was.
But did they stop the game?
They didn't stop the game. They told no. They maybe go to the dressing room, put my wig back on. But yeah,
did you?
Yeah. So I've never heard of the refs. Now the referees at ball games do have the right to have people ejected. Yeah. I've seen that before because they get unruly or they're shouting profanities or getting personal with the players or something like that. So, but this doesn't sound like it merits being tossed, but a lifetime ban.
A lifetime ban. You made fun of, and you could hear on the. I didn't record it, but you could hear the referees talking
I'll tell
about
you, I don't see why you want to wear a wig during a game.
Well, you got to look good.
Huh?
You got to look good. You got to represent.
Yeah. Well, it can be pulled out though.
Yeah, and it was.
Do men wear toupees in the NBA? During the game?
I doubt it.
But would
you
they
ever seen a toupee fly off?
Never seen it.
Would they delay the game though?
Yeah, no, they stopped the whole game.
They did just stop the whole game.
Stopped
Everybody
the whole
go to the
game.
restroom
Everybody,
or taking
go to the bench and
a snack break right here.
Yeah.
A wig break.
They wigged out.
They wigged out. That's right.
They wigged out.
Some of the comments here, I can't even imagine the humiliation I would feel if I was this fan. Imagine what your friends and family would think. You bought a ticket to a WNBA game.
Well, Caitlin Clark, she doesn't wear a wig.
No.
Yeah.
So you know she's
fun to watch.
Yeah, she's fun to watch. She's been hurt, by the way.
She is. Yeah.
She's got But I saw the numbers the other day, and the numbers with her playing are the viewership is just through the roof compared to her not playing. So her team, the Indiana Fever, and the league itself needs Caitlin Clark to get back on the court as soon as possible. But the kind of injury she has is hard to overcome when you're playing basketball. If you don't sit out for like 6 or 8 weeks, you know what I'm saying? I know because it cut me out of the NBA. Yeah. That in my toupee.
Yeah.
But you're not bitter.
No,
not a bit.
God had a bigger platform for you.
That's right. Tell me that God had other plans, right?
That's right.
So anyway, all right, folks. My thanks to Ray and Fred and Chris and Steve, and thanks to Dr. Jessica Peck and Adam Suddeth, our producer. We'll see you back here tomorrow.